Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. I'm really looking forward to the fight this weekend between Jarrell Miller and Gerald Washington. It's been a little bit of a dearth of decent fights in recent weeks, so this one is it's really whet my appetite. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, there's a lot on the line for both these guys. So before I get into the prediction of how I see it playing out and who's going to win, I thought, well, let's just go through what does it mean for each man should they win or lose for that matter. Okay, so Jarrell Miller. For him, I believe that this will give him credibility. It'll actually legitimize him as a contender. I think to this point, you could say that he's been a fringe contender. There's actually not a whole lot on his record. He's generally, I think, lived off a little bit like Dillian White, actually, hype that he generates because he's a very out there guy. He's very good on social media. But when you drill down on that record, not a whole lot there. So, I mean, I think for him, getting a win is actually very important if he wants to take that next step. Otherwise, well, it's going to be a little bit of a way back. In terms of Gerald Washington, I've mentioned on this channel before, I believe that this fight for him is super important. He's already coming off a loss, and that was to Deontay Wilder. I believe this was a crossroads fight. He needs a win to stay in the conversation. Otherwise, taking two straight losses on the trot, that's very hard to come back from. You start to be viewed as a guy that's maybe starting to get towards that journeyman level, albeit in his case a pretty high level one. But if you step up and have your competition raised for the first two times, to a decent level and you lose, well, it becomes very, very hard to come back from. So what can we expect from the fight? Okay, so Jarrell Miller, I would expect him to be super, super aggressive. I think we'll see him coming forward. He'll really be putting the pressure on Washington. I don't think he's going to respect Washington's power at all. We saw in the Deontay Wilder fight, Wilder was very cautious and cagey. He was sort of sussing him out, trying not to make a mistake in those early rounds. Whereas Gerald Washington against Wilder, he was, sort of boxing well and sort of putting up the points. I thought he was winning before he got knocked out. But anyway, I think Miller will be all over Washington like white on rice, and probably from the get-go. Okay, so Washington, he's the taller guy. So it stands to reason that he's going to utilize his height, right? I think he did that very well in that Deontay Wilder fight back in February. I'd expect on what we've seen and the strength of his sort of portfolio in general, that he'll be working that jab all night. It's a pretty effective weapon, and it was effective versus Wilder. Kept him at bay. This guy can legit box, but I'm not sure he can hurt Miller. Not sure he can really get it done. I think Miller is a bit of a different kettle of fish. I've gone through some of his highlights, and boy, that dude has power. I mean, some of the stuff from his kickboxing days is actually even more impressive. And you're starting to see, I think, actually, who I'm siding with, I think Miller is going to be too much for Washington. But yeah, then again, stranger things have happened. We just saw Manny Pacquiao lose to Jeff Horn just the other week. I'm just not sure that Washington's actually got the power to take care of Miller. And the rest of the card, man, this is a great card. And what makes me even more stoked for this fight, this card, is it's actually going to be on live on TV here in New Zealand. Often these things, it's a bit touch and go if they're actually going to get aired, but this is on TV. So it's a stacked card. As we know, Jamal Charlo, he's stepping up in weight, and he'll be fighting Jorge Sebastian Hyland. I actually do think that Charlo, he's stepping up, and I do think his power will step up with him. You might have seen that he said he's got God-given power. And on the strength of what we've seen in a couple of recent fights, I can't disagree with him. And in terms of the rest of the card, main event, Broner versus Garcia. Now, this is a super, super juicy matchup. They've actually done a really good job of selling this fight. Garcia is obviously after that knockout of Zlaticanin a couple of months ago. His profile has been sky high. He's really done a good job of sort of riding that wave. Obviously a talented boxer, multiple world champion, but then again, so is Broner. And Broner, he is really upset that the media and others, and boxing fans in general, have written him off. He feels super disrespected, and you may have seen some video of him actually putting in that work and looking good. I mean, he's probably going to make the weight from what he's saying relatively easily. As we know, if he doesn't, there's a $500,000 fine. So I don't think this is going to be all one-way traffic for Mikey Garcia. Adrian Broner has not lost at 140 or below. I'm sure that he's going to put in a pretty decent performance, and it's probably going to be a lot closer than the odds would suggest. I'm actually going to go Broner in this one. That may be a little controversial and maybe against the grain of what a lot of people are thinking, but I think Broner, he's dialed in. I think he will get it done. I think it's going to be a really, really good fight. I think Charlo will win, and I think Miller will win. It's shaping up to be a big card. So, and also the fighting pride of Ireland, Katie Taylor, she's also on the card as well. Okay, that's it from me. Hit like and subscribe. I'm out.